Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Fellowship Board of Directors, I want to welcome everyone gathered on-site and online. Whether this is your first time here or you joined us years ago, we're delighted you're here. The best way for newcomers to get information is to sign our virtual guest book, either via the QR code on your bulletin or at the website, at the welcome table in the fireside room. Feel free to stick around for coffee and conversation after the service. Folks, online folks, you too have an opportunity for conversation after the service. Just stay in the Zoom room. And I have a couple of announcements. The second book talk is going on during today's coffee hours. Stop by the library for a casual conversation about what you're currently reading or looking forward to reading. And lastly, the memorial service for Jean Haggart Dow is coming up this Saturday at 11 o'clock here at the Fellowship. Thank you.
Thanks so much to the Recorder Concert. That was lovely. Our call to fellowship this morning is by the Reverend Michelle Collins. Here we are together, bearers of imagination, creators of new worlds. It is our imagination that lifts us beyond despair, that whispers, "What if?" and dares us to answer. Today we gather to renew that spark, to embrace the power to dream. Come, let us imagine boldly and worship together. Our chalice lighting this morning, you will see up here. and we will say this together. Dr. King said, "Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars." We light this chalice as the symbol of our commitment to curiosity, courage, and compassion, to justice and peace. We will now sing hymn number 100. The words will be up here as well. I've got peace like a river. Don't hesitate to sing out.
For all ages. Any young ones or young at heart want to come and join me up here? Clara, did you do that? Let's see. I'm going to come around this microphone and hope not to make it. Okay? Squeal. Hi. Good morning. How are you? Good. I have a prop. Do you know who it is? Jet Pig. It's Jet Pig. He's a little, my Jet Pig is non-binary. They use they, them pronouns. And it's a little kind of steampunk pig with a jetpack on the back. Now I have to tell you this story. When the Unitarian Universalist Association reconfigured the way we talk about our values, they didn't change our values, they just changed the way we talk about our values. And we came up with this acronym, JET-PIG. We're going to talk about that in a minute. One of the ministers' groups started sharing pictures of this. And they came from Amazon, and I'm sure it came from a factory in China. And there were several different ones. There was a chicken, and there was a cow maybe, or a bear, or something like that. There were all these little steampunk creatures. And I could just imagine the ordering people at that place in China saying, "What's the deal with the pig? Why are all of these ministers ordering a jet pig?" Well, here's why. I'm going to let you hold him and we can pass him around a little bit. We know what these values are. We've talked about them before, and I'll bet that most of us can say them. J for justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, with love at the center of all we do. Well, those are very nice words, but what do they really mean, right? So I thought that I would look up a little bit and see what I can say about what they mean, and then you might tell me what they mean to you. So J is for justice. This means that we work for a better world for everyone. And we use our democratic processes, like every person gets a vote, to make decisions that will guide us to a diverse, beloved community. Okay. E is for equity. Equity means that everyone has a place in a fair and peaceful world. Equity means that we all can get what we need to survive and thrive. Yeah.
I think there is another thing that the E stands for.
Okay.
It also stands for everyone.
E stands for everyone. I like that. I think equity means that everyone can get, they have access, they can get what they need to survive and thrive. T is for transformation. Means that we all keep growing and learning together, and we know that when we grow and learn together, it will change us. Okay, you are younger ones in this fellowship. We know that you grow and learn a lot. What do you think about those folks out there? Do you think they still grow and learn? Maybe. You think we ought to watch and see and try to help them grow and learn more? Maybe. That got a good laugh up here. Transformation means that we can all change, right? P is for pluralism. Pluralism means that there is more than one way. Yeah. What's that? Peace. Peace is another good one that P means. I like that. So if one of you likes vanilla ice cream and another one likes strawberry, who's team vanilla?
I like both.
Who's team strawberry? Nope, not so much. Who's team chocolate? There are hands back here too. Does that mean that the people who like chocolate are right and the people who like vanilla are wrong? No, it doesn't. It means that there's room for all of us to think different things. That's pluralism, right? More than one, okay? I is for interdependence. Interdependence. We know what independence means, right? It means that I can do it myself. How many of you have said to your mom or your parent or your adult, I can do it myself? I have.
We can attest to that.
Ben, is that what you say? You can do it yourself?
No, that's what they say.
Interdependence. Interdependence means that we can do it together and that we can do more together than we can by ourselves. Plus, yes,
I could also be for ideas.
I could also be for ideas. I love that all of these letters could stand for different things. Don't confuse these folks out here. In pieces?
Impatient.
Impatient? I could stand for impatient. Are you impatient for your hand to heal? Your arm to heal? Yes, I bet you are. Interdependence means that we are all connected, but not just to the other humans. What else are we connected to? Earth. And all the things that come from Earth. Nature, all of nature. What else?
Cats.
Oh, cats. Very connected to cats. Yes, interconnected. But also to the stars and the whole universe, right? Everything is interdependent. It all relies on each other. And then G is for generosity. Generosity means that we have giving hearts, that we share what we have, that we practice being grateful. One of my favorite things to do at night is to make a gratitude list. So it helps remind me to be grateful for what I have today and tomorrow and yesterday. And it feels like when I'm feeling dry and parched in my spirit, gratitude feels like lotion on my parched spirit. So all of spirit lotion. Gratitude is like spirit lotion. It totally is. I love that. I love that. And all of these things, these big words and big concepts that are challenging for all of us to live into. They're not easy things to live into. And at the same time, they're pretty basic for how we want to be together. We want there to be justice, for the world to be fair for everyone. We want there to be equity, that everyone has access to what they need. We want to be open to transformation. If something's coming, I can change along with it. That there is pluralism. Just because I think I'm right doesn't mean that you're wrong. That there's interdependence, letting me lean into the ways that we rely on each other, and I don't have to do it all by myself. And generosity helps me to be generous with myself and with each other, to share what I have, and to be grateful. And what's at the center of all of that? Us, yes, kindness, and love. Love. This is how we make love come alive in the world, right? So that's why we talk about these Jet Pig values. And if you ever want to come in my office and hang out with Jet Pig, you are welcome to do so. Okay? That goes for you too. So we're not sending you out to class because there's no class to go to, but you can go hang out with your adults, or you can go over to the soul work tables over there and do a little art play if you want to. If the adults have left enough spaces. The adults like the soul work tables too. So we'll send you back from whence you came. Thank you.
I still don't get the jet pig part though.
Oh,
Where did that come from?
well, it was a way that they have decided on the values, these 6 letters, right? And they kind of worked them around.
Jet pig is six letters, but.
Yeah, Jet Pig, because they just said, what would be an acronym that we could come up with to help us remember? Yeah, that's it. It's the acronym to help us remember. Yeah, I think you did, and I think we just saw the moment of transformation. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you. Other people were asking that question. Yes, thank you. Please.
We're now going to give and receive our offering. So this morning, half of our non-pledge offering will be donated to Undue Medical Debt. This is an organization that really works to end this American injustice of medical debt. And they do this by purchasing debt at a negotiated rate, and that relieves the obligation for debtors with no tax consequences for them or for donors. Since their founding in 2014, they've relieved over $15 billion in debt for nearly 10 million people. Wow. The other half of the offering will support programs here in our own fellowship that help make this a place of community and spiritual growth and love and justice and Jet Pig, J-E-T-P-I-G. So we're going to pass the basket here, but if you are at home or if you have a cell phone here, you can go to uufames.org/give to make your contribution today. And if you're visiting today, please know that your presence here is gift enough.
Each week when we gather, we take a few moments to remind ourselves of the value of a moment of stillness, to remind ourselves that our lives are connected one to another, and we hold each other's joys and we hold each other's sorrows. We hold each other's stories. We allow ourselves to be known in the context of community. And in this way, we fight that pull to isolation. We know that it is a joy to have an online community who participates with us each week in our fellowship. On the count of 1, we're going to wave hello to this camera right up here. 3, 2, 1. Hello, online. We see you. We're glad you're with us. 200 years ago today, on May 25th, 1825, the American Unitarian Association was chartered. This was one of the founding organizations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, our association, which was founded in 1961. So happy birthday to the now combined UUA. Happy birthday to the Unitarian half. Today is the 5th anniversary of the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, when a police officer ignored his pleas of "I can't breathe," and when a brave young woman filmed the incident so that this one wouldn't go unnoticed. Blessings be upon all who suffer from racial violence, from police violence, from other oppressions, and bless all who bear witness. Today we're thinking of all those who are anxious today, who fear for their health care or their livelihood, or are worried about their family, their extended family, for similar reasons. For all who are caught in the grip of addiction, for those who navigate life with mental illness, for those who live on a knife's edge of safety. We have space to hold all these in our hearts. Let's take a moment of silence, and in our shared silence, please lift up the names of individuals or groups that you are particularly thinking of today. Veterans. Betty and Wayne. Who were homeless. We increase our capacity for care. We increase our understanding, our willingness to understand the challenges of the world. We do this in community because we are indeed interdependent. Let's sing together. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Would you like me to move somewhere else? Come with me, and you'll be in a world of your imagination. Take the
We almost got to the end of a month with our theme of imagination without that song, without Madison singing that song. That was the thing. Solvitur ambulando. Solvitur ambulando. It is solved by walking. This Latin phrase, solvitur ambulando, is attributed both to Augustine of Hippo and the Greek philosopher Diogenes. And it suggests that rather than long debate and lots of talking, that to move our bodies is a way to revolution. In 2013, 2 veterans from Wisconsin, 5 years after they returned from their deployments in Iraq, decided that they had to move their bodies, that they had to do something to solve the crisis that was affecting both of their lives. Tom Voss and Anthony Anderson set out from Milwaukee and walked 2,700 miles across the country, including across Iowa, to Los Angeles to see their fellow veteran and buddy, and they were filmed while doing it. Their story in the documentary Almost Sunrise follows their quest to heal from moral injury, the moral injury of war, the burden that we as a society place on our service members. They walked to find their will to live. Our American civic life is missing some things. I spend a fair amount of time up here talking about what I think we're missing. You talk to me about what you think we're missing. And I think about them. I'm thinking about a few things on this Memorial Day weekend here at the end of Mental Health Awareness Month. I want to invite any of you recorder folks who would like to really turn your chair or move over where you can see. Please feel welcome to do that. I'm noting you over there. I'm thinking about these things on this Memorial Day weekend here at the end of Mental Health Awareness Month. We are missing some rituals and ceremonies common in many ancient and contemporary cultures that welcome returning warriors and help them reintegrate into society. And we are missing trusted leadership from the highest office in this country. Highest office says, we are missing people who value the lives of our soldiers and our veterans. And personally, I am missing a connection to our military. I don't have a strong connection in my family. Perhaps some of you do. My grandfather served in Okinawa at the end of World War II. He was a Seabee. He was part of the construction battalion on Okinawa. But he wasn't in combat, and as far as I know, he's about the only person in my family who was involved in the war. And I know there are some families with a long history of military service. Perhaps some of your families have that, but I don't. Only 1% of less than 1% of the United States population serves in the military. And so we have a warrior class, and many of us are very much divorced from this warrior class. An understanding of moral injury can help us understand and navigate these pieces that we're missing and better support our military. So I want to talk about that a little bit today. What is moral injury and what might we do about it? Moral injury differs from post-traumatic stress, which many of you have heard of. Claims for, post-traumatic stress involves an avoidance of stimuli associated with a trauma, emotional numbness, social withdrawal, psychological arousal, like hypervigilance, an exaggerated startle response, anxiety, difficulty sleeping, irritability, hyperreactivity. You may have a few of those things just because you live in the world. But if you've had a trauma, a real trauma, they may manifest in a different way. Moral injury is different and more intense. After a traumatic or unusually stressful circumstance, people, whether you are the person who perpetrates it, or you witness it, or you're unable to stop something, you've been a part of an event that contradicts your deeply held moral beliefs and expectations. When someone does something that goes so much against their beliefs, or when they experience a betrayal of leadership that asks them to do such a thing, it is distressing in a psychological, behavioral, social, and spiritual aftermath. And it affects people in a way that their world no longer makes sense. It's not just that they're stressed in a particular way, though that can be quite traumatic. It's that the world no longer makes sense and they cannot find their place in it. And in fact, may believe they're no longer fit to be among other human beings. It's quite deleterious. It has feelings of guilt and shame and worthlessness, despair, remorse, depression, a loss of meaning and interest in life, a feeling like I've lost a part of myself. I don't know who I am anymore. You can imagine that if people return from combat or war with this kind of experience and it grows over time, it would be very hard to be integrated into relationship, into the world. And this is what these two fellows, Tom Voss and Anthony Anderson, were experiencing as they set off on this 2,700-mile walk. There's an author named David Wood. I'm quoting a lot from the documentary that I saw, and in my newsletter article next week, I'll put the name of it. I'll tell you again, it's Almost Sunrise is this documentary, and it's available on YouTube. One of the authors there, David Wood, is a military anthropologist, and he wrote, "What Have We Done?" And he says war damages the people who participate in it, especially the act of killing, even in a just war. Even when the killing is justified, it exacts a cost on the person who perpetrates that killer. And another person in this film says, when you sign up for the military, you engage in a massive act of faith with your neighbors. The good judgment of all of us neighbors, and the functioning of democracy. We choose when our soldiers face that awful thing of battle. And if the mission is not clear, there's a terrible burden that they will have to bear for the rest of their lives that we have some responsibility for. So this is a story about the Iraq War, right? One of the guys says, people have this sense of combat about World War II, right? When you're going to fight a Hitler and it's very clear cut and you know what the mission is and you really can tell the difference between right and wrong. It's not like that anymore. When you're fighting other people in uniform, right? It's not like that. It was not like that in the Iraq War. And so there was the sense that we were going to go change hearts and minds and we were going to do nation building. And then it got into the quagmire that we've heard about. This was 20 years ago. And I didn't pay much attention to it. I was raising my daughter and I was doing whatever it was in my life, and it was over there. And I thought, it's too bad. I wish it wasn't happening. But I wasn't that connected to it. But these people who went were engaged in an unclear mission and some of the most brutal fighting and experiences they'd ever been a part of. They didn't know exactly what was the reason they were doing it. They didn't trust their leaders. They didn't have an opportunity to say, this should be different. And they wound up with some of these effects. One of them said, it's been 6 years since I came back from my deployment. This was produced in 2016, so now quite a long time ago, but it's been 6 years since I came back from my second deployment, and it bothers me as much today as it did then. I'm not saying that whether the war was right or wrong or criminal or justified, but it's when you see the framework of what got you to that point is what I find so difficult. When I see the president, who was then George W. Bush, saying at a correspondence dinner, "Where are those weapons of mass destructions?" and looking under a napkin and looking under a glass at the podium and getting a laugh out of it, having a nice little chuckle, that upsets me a lot. What we thought we were fighting for, he says, was to bring democracy to Iraq, and that changed to winning hearts and minds, and it kept getting tweaked and tweaked. And we got to, what are we doing here? What's the purpose? So these are some of the things that contribute to moral injury, doing things that are so egregious on the orders of your superiors that you lose who you are, and you come back and don't know how to reintegrate into society. Here's why I think it matters on Memorial Day, a holiday that is not about mattress sales and Toyotathon, but it's meant to honor U.S. soldiers who died in combat. And what we know now is that combat follows these soldiers home. We know that 154 veterans every week complete suicide. 154 veterans every week take their lives. And because less than 1% of the American population serves in the military, we have this warrior class that's in danger after they come home, but they are pretty much hidden from us unless we look. Theologian Rita Nakashima-Brock says, if anyone's ever had a seriously broken heart, it's a searing internal pain that makes you think that you want to die. And that's the experience of moral injury. It comes to losing your sense of who you are as a good person. Imagine if you don't have a sense that deep down at your root, you're a good person. Or from experience in witnessing something like this. A key component of addressing moral injury is connecting with other people that you trust and share those painful experiences with. You don't ever get over it, but you learn how to live with it so it doesn't control your life. Now, throughout history, there are societies that have had formal ways of welcoming home their warriors who the society would view as tainted until they go through this ritual of cleansing and acceptance and forgiveness, self-forgiveness and forgiveness in the society. We don't have that, and we really need something like this. Ancient cultures understood better than we do the need to aid warriors as they return home, and they had rituals to help heal these ruptures. The Maasai warriors of East Africa, the ancient Romans, even in the Judeo-Christian tradition, the Hebrew warriors were instructed to purify themselves before entering back into the camp. In medieval time, warriors had to do penance. They understood this need for a ritual process. In Native American cultures, even today, which have a higher rate of volunteerism for the U.S. military than the general population. Often there's a sweat lodge when a warrior comes home, and that pollution, that interior pollution of what they've seen and done is placed on the rocks and sent away. The beginning of a military career is characterized by ritual, daily patterns and drills and uniforms and passing out parade marks, and even the first few months of life in the armed forces. But when you come home, it's a different story. The ritualized homecoming, drawing on one of these practices, even faith practices, might help promote the healing of this moral injury. Now we've come down to sort of the videos of people soldiers coming to the airport and their family greeting them, or running to greet their child after school, or this sort of video moment. That's the ritual we have. And in fact, we need something much deeper. On this trek that Voss and Anderson took, they came across New Mexico and Arizona, and they met with some Dene indigenous people, and one of them was a spiritual leader called Wolf Walker. And he takes them to this sort of cave on the edge near the Grand Canyon. And they're kind of in this interior space, and he sages them and he talks with them. And he says this, I thought this was so beautiful. And I think this is appropriate to all of us. When we take things that happen to us and we try and push them down and push the pain down and try to close the door on them, we never learn the lesson from them. One thing about our traditions, the indigenous traditions he's talking about, is that there's nobody external who can heal you, who can change who you are and what you've experienced. It has to come from you. It has to come from you. You have the power to make that choice. You have to grab the power and say, I choose this direction or that direction. I choose to learn from this. I choose to gain my power from this. And then you're once again in a place where you can make those choices, but it is work. It's getting out of our comfort zone, a whole new way of thinking. It's being vulnerable. This is who I am as a human being, who has done perhaps terrible things and is also capable of transformation. And then he leads them outside this cave to this extraordinary vista. It's stunning. And one of the participants says, that was the moment of going from this interior closed off place and moving into something wider with vision, where I could re-access my imagination. So, what does it mean to us, and why is it important for us to think about this? Well, I think there are a few things that we can come to around this, and now I've lost my place in my notes, so I'm going to scroll through until I find it. Bear with me for one moment. There was a lot of cutting and pasting going on here. So what? Now what? What do we do with this information? Well, I think there are a few things that we can do. We can hold our administrations to account for the use of our military. We can speak out about moral injury and advocate for funding for this. There are several programs that are now happening in the military. Project Welcome Home Troops, some more of them. One of the participants in this went to the next step to do what they call power breathing. And by doing some really careful work around breath work and mindfulness and yoga, they are able to really do some very real, lasting healing. And we need to advocate for more kinds of therapies such as that. I can be more aware of what's happening with our military and speak out about this, open my heart and mind to the lived experiences of our military veterans, support increased aid, be aware of the work in our work and community settings that moral injury, whether from military or other people, is taking a toll on our civic life. Recognize that we are putting a class of domestic military workers at risk. Imagine how the current actions of ICE and Homeland Security agents will affect them down the line because of what they are being asked to do. It is hard for me to come up with compassion for ICE agents and Homeland Security agents and police officers who kneel on the neck of people that they are trying to subdue. It is hard for me to come up with compassion. My work, my transformative work, and I invite you with me, is to have compassion for what it will do to them. We can continue to lift up the worth and dignity of every human being so that dehumanizing of the so-called enemy of the other doesn't take hold. These things are possible when the enemy or the other is dehumanized. And let us, this forge of love, not let that happen. We can hold on to our own humanity and resist the calls to violate our own moral integrity. Imagine what you will do. I imagine what I will do if I see something that feels so wrong. Will I have the courage to say something? Will I have courage to be an ally to those who might suffer moral injury? It's hard work, and it's not the happiest topic to talk about, but here on Memorial Day, as we have this cognitive dissonance between this overt patriotism, this wild overt patriotism that is happening, and a lack of understanding about what has happened to our soldiers who have served in our names. My hope is that we can integrate that and understand and imagine a healthier interdependence. May it be so, and blessed be. Let's sing together.
Nations, a song of peace.
Please be seated.
We're now going to extinguish the chalice. The words are up here for us to read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
It is our practice to end with gratitude, or as Clara called it, spirit lotion. I like that. Thank you so much to our musicians, the recorder consort. Thank you to our, yes, our soloist and music coordinator, Madison Mayfield, and our accompanist, Mary Richards. Thank you. To our tech team, Donald Lewis and Melissa Neeson, to Cheryl Lawson for our welcome, to the treat bringers and the coffee makers and the servers and the cleanup crew and the greeters. You want to be a greeter, don't you? You want to be part of that Sunday welcome experience? Oh, we'd love to have you do that. Amanda in the back. Amanda, will you raise your, there we go. If you want to be a part of our mighty welcome team, we would love to have you do it, and Amanda will put you to work. It takes a lot of us to do this, and we're glad that we are all here. The world is complicated. It is interdependent in messy ways. It is generous and lovely, and our imagination can take us to wonderful places. And it's also hard. It's difficult. And we are doing a thing here together to fill our buckets, to go out in the world and share our values. May you have blessings, blessings, one and all, this Memorial Day and always. Blessed be, and go in peace.